Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
In the previous video, we have learned about cost price, selling price, how to find profit and loss, and then we have seen how to find profit percent and loss percent. Now, in this video, we are going to learn about charge given on borrowed money. Suppose if we borrow money from bank, how much money do we have to return? Will it be same as the money we have borrowed? No. It will include some extra charge. We have to return the money we have borrowed along with the extra charge. Now what do we call that extra charge? We call it as simple interest or interest. So now we are going to discuss about simple interest, that is the charge given on the borrowed money. Now what do we call the money we borrow? The borrowed money is known as principal. And the charge we have to pay for borrowing the money or using the money for some time, that is known as interest. Suppose we take a loan from bank. The amount which we take is known as principal. And the charge which we have to pay for using the money for some time is known as interest. Here we are going to learn about simple interest. Now how much amount do we have to return? When we are about to return or when we are returning the amount, we have to return it with, that will be the sum of principal and interest. So the amount which has to be returned is always sum of principal and interest. That is, while returning the amount, we have to give the amount which we have borrowed, that is principal, and we have to give the charge on that amount, that is interest. So amount is equal to principal plus interest. And the interest is generally given in percent. That is, it is given like this. It is 10% per annum. This PA is per annum, or it might be 15% per annum. Like this, interest is always given. It's like rate of the interest is given. Rate is 10% per annum or 15% per annum, like this. It can be anything. So interest is always given in the percent, and principal is the exact amount. That is the amount which we are borrowing. Now what do we mean by 10% per annum? That is, the rate of interest is 10% per annum, means we have to pay rupees 10 for every 100 rupees borrowed. Or we can say charge is rupees 10 for every rupees 100 borrowed. It means we have to pay the interest of rupees 10 on every 100 rupees which we are borrowing in 1 year, as it is per annum. So we have to pay a charge of rupees 10 for every rupees 100 borrowed in 1 year. That means 10% per annum. Similarly, for 15% per annum, it will be rupees 15 for every 100 rupees borrowed in a year. Now let's discuss one question. This will make our understanding more clear. So the question here is, Anita takes a loan of rupees 5,000 at 15% per year as a rate of interest. So the rate of interest is given as 15% per annum or 15% per year. Find the interest she has to pay at the end of 1 year. So rate of interest here is 15% per year. So what we have to tell? How much amount she has to pay. So here what is the principal amount? The amount which is borrowed, that is principal amount, is rupees 5,000. And what is rate of interest? Let's represent it with R. R is rate of interest. It is 15%. Now what will be the interest then? Interest will be 15% of principal amount. Now what was the principal? It is 5,000. So this will be 15%, that is 15 upon 100 of means multiplication, and principal is 5,000. Now we can simplify this. 15 into 5 will be 75 and then we'll have 1 0. So interest is basically rupees 750. This is the interest, or this is the amount or the charge she has to pay at the end of 1 year. The interest is rupees 750. So now what do you think? What is the amount she has to pay at the end of year? It will be sum of principal and interest, that is P plus I. Here P is the principal, I is the interest. Now this will be equal to 5,000 plus 750. Now this is equal to rupees 5,750. This is the amount which has to be paid back, which includes principal amount or the amount which she borrowed and the charge or the interest which was applied on that sum of money. Now here it was the case of 1 year only. Now suppose she has borrowed the amount for more than 1 year, let's say for 10 years. Now how to find the interest? For 10 years, what we can do for that? Now we are going to discuss for the multiple years. This was the case only for 1 year. Now before moving to several years or the money borrowed for several years, finding interest on that, let's discuss about the formula for 1 year only. If the amount is borrowed for 1 year, then how we can find the interest? So interest, suppose rate of interest is given as R%. Rate of interest is given as R% and the principal amount or the amount borrowed is P. Then what will be the rate? Then what will be the interest given? Interest will be equal to R% of P. Now this rate is per annum. So at the end of 1 year, the interest to be paid will be R% of P. Now this is equal to R upon 100 into P, which can be written as PR upon 100. So interest is basically equal to PR upon 100, where P is the principal, R is the rate of interest and I is the interest here. This is interest. This P is principal. This R is rate of interest. So by using this formula also we can find interest to be paid at the end of the year. Now we are going to discuss about the interest for more than 1 year. How do we calculate that? Now suppose, let's take the same question. Anita takes a loan of rupees 5,000 at 15% per year as a rate of interest. Find the interest she has to pay at the end of 1 year. Now instead of 1 year, let's make at the end of, or we can write it as she has to pay after 2 years. Instead of at the end of 1 year, let's take it as after 2 years. Now if she is returning the money after 2 years, then how much interest she has to pay? As we have seen, interest for 1 year, what was it? interest for 1 year was rupees 750. Now what will be the interest for 2 years, or what will be the interest for the second year? It will be 750 only. So it means we can say interest of or interest for 2 years will be rupees 750 plus rupees 750. That is for the first year, interest of first year plus interest of second year. Now this will be equal to 1500. So it means if she is returning the amount after 2 years, then she has to pay the interest of rupees 1500. Then what will be the total amount paid? So total amount paid will be principal plus interest. So this time it will be 5000 plus 1500. Now this is equal to 6500. So this is the amount she has to pay if she is paying after 2 years. Now instead of 2 years, suppose we are having 4 years, then what we will do? If for interest for 1 year is rupees 750, then the interest for 2 years or 4 years will be multiplied with this interest. That is, we just multiply 4 with it for getting what? For getting the interest for 4 years. So interest for 4 years will be 750 into 4. That's it. Suppose we have to find for 15 years, then we will multiply this amount with 15. Like this, we can find interest for any number of years. Now as we have seen, if the amount borrowed or the principal amount is P and rate of interest is R, you can write it as R%. Then the interest was PR upon 100. We have seen this. This was the interest for 1 year. That is, if the amount or the principal is borrowed for 1 year, the interest to be paid was PR upon 100. Now, can we get for T years also? Suppose we are borrowing the money for T years. We are borrowing the same amount, that is P, at the same rate of interest, that is R%. Now what will be the interest? So this time interest, or we call it as simple interest, will be equal to PR upon 100 into T. We just simply multiplied PR upon 100 with T. Why we did so? Because for 1 year it is PR upon 100. So for T years it will be PR upon 100 into T. Now this gives us a formula for finding simple interest for T years. That is, if the sum is borrowed for T years, then the interest will be equal to PRT upon 100. That is, this is the formula for finding interest. If amount P is borrowed at the rate of interest, which is R, for T years, then the interest to be paid will be PRT upon 100. And what will be the amount to be paid after T years? Amount, which is represented with A, will be equal to the sum of money which we have borrowed, that is P, plus charge applied on it, that is the interest or the simple interest. So amount will be P plus I. Now this is for T years. Now let's try few questions based on interest. The first one here is rupees 10,000 is invested at 5% interest rate per annum. Find the interest at the end of 1 year. So what we have to do here, the amount which is invested, that is the principal amount, is 10,000 and it is invested at the rate of 5% per annum. We have to find the interest at the end of 1 year. So here the principal amount or the principal is equal to rupees 10,000. What is rate? Rate here is 5%. Rate is 5%. Now we have to find the interest. For how many years do we have to find? We have to find only for 1 year. So it will be PR upon 100. Now from here, what is the value of P? It is 10,000 into R, which is 5 upon 100. Now we can simplify this. So 100 into 5 will give us 500. So the interest at the end of 1 year will be rupees 500. So this is how we can find interest for 1 year. Now let's try a few more questions. Now the next question is, rupees 3500 is given at 7% per annum rate of interest. That is, the amount 3500 is given at the rate of 7% per annum. Find interest which will be received at the end of 2 years. Now this time is 2 years. Now how to find interest for 2 years? We know interest is equal to PRT upon 100. Now what is P here? P is 3500, R is 7 and T is 2, because the sum is given for 2 years. So therefore interest, that is I, will be equal to 3500 into 7 into 2 divided by 100. Now we can simplify this. 35 into 2, that will be 70. 70 into 7, that will be 490. So the interest that will be received at the end of 2 years will be rupees 490. So therefore we can say answer for this question is rupees 490. Now the next question is, rupees 6050 is borrowed at 6.5% rate of interest per annum. Find the interest and the amount to be paid at the end of 3 years. Now we know amount is equal to principal plus interest. So for that, first of all we have to find the interest. Now what is the principal amount here? It is 6050. And what is the rate of interest? It is 6.5. And what is the time here? Time period is of 3 years. So T will be 3. Now how do we find? Now how do we find interest? Interest is equal to PRT upon 100. Now what is the value of P? It is 6050. R is 6.5. T is 3. So let's put all the values here. So interest I will be equal to 6050 into 6.5 into 3 divided by 100. Now we have to simplify this. We can remove this decimal from here and we have to put 1 0 in the denominator. Now we can simplify this. We can cancel 1 0 with 1 0 here. Now we are left with 605 into 65 into 3 divided by 100. So we can have it as 605 into 65 into 3 divided by 100. Now we can simplify this. We can find the product by using usual multiplication method. We will get 1179.75. So this is the interest. So interest is rupees 1179.75. Now what will be the amount to be paid? As we know, amount is equal to principal plus interest. That is, A is equal to P plus I. Now from here A will be equal to P is 6050 plus I is 1179.75, that is 1179.75. Now we just have to add them. So by adding them we will get the amount to be paid after 3 years, and that will be 7229.75. So this is the amount to be paid after 3 years. Now the next question is, rupees 7,000 is borrowed at 3.5% rate of interest per annum, and it is borrowed for 2 years. Find the amount to be paid at the end of second year. So first of all we have to find the interest, and then amount will be principal plus interest. So first of all let's write what is principal here. It is 7,000 and rate of interest is 3.5 and time period is 2 years. So I will be equal to, I is interest. So interest will be equal to PRT upon 100. Now value of P, R and T are already given to us. So interest will be equal to 7,000 into 3.5 into 2 divided by 100. Now we can simplify this. We can cancel these two zeros with these two zeros. Now we are left with 70 into 3.5 into 2. This will give us 7. Now from here we will get 70 into 7 will be 490. So the interest to be paid after 2 years will be rupees 490. But what we have to find here? We have to find the amount to be paid at the end of the second year. What will be the amount? As we know, amount is equal to principal plus interest. While returning back the money, what we have to do? We have to return the amount which we have taken, and we have to add charge to it. We have to give the charge also for using the money. That is known as interest. So amount is equal to P plus I. Now from here we can find this. P is 7,000 plus I, which is 490. Now 7,000 plus 490, this will give us amount is equal to 7,490. So the amount to be paid, at the end of the second year will be rupees 7,490. Now we have seen in all the questions, principal was given, rate of interest was given, and time period was given. We have to find amount or we have to find interest. Now suppose if interest is already given to us, can we find any three of them if two of them are already given to us? Suppose principal is given and rate is given. Can we find time period? Yes, we can do that. If rate is given and time period is given, we can find the principal amount also. So let's try that kind of questions now. Now the next question is, if Manohar pays an interest of rupees 750 for 2 years on a sum of rupees 4,500, find the rate of interest. So what are the things which are given to us? Interest is given to us. Interest is equal to rupees 750 and principal is also given, it is 4,500, and time period is also given, it is 2 years. What we have to find? We have to find rate of interest. Now as we know, interest is equal to PRT upon 100. So from here we can find rate. Rate will be equal to interest into 100 divided by P into T. So what we did, we transposed P and T on the left side. So it will come in denominator and 100 will come in numerator. So now rate is equal to interest into 100 upon principal into time. So let's put the values now. I is 750. This becomes 750 into 100 divided by 4500, which is principal, into 2. Now we can cancel these two zeros with these two zeros. So now we are having R is equal to 750 divided by 45 into 2, that is 90. Now from here also we can cancel this 0 with this one. Now what else we can do? We can simplify it further. 3 3s are 9. 3 into 25 will give us 75. So it means now rate is equal to 25 upon 3. Now we have to find the mixed fraction form. For that we have to divide it. So let's divide 25 with 3. 3 8s are 24. Now the remainder here is 1. So it means this can be written as 8 1 upon 3%. So the rate of interest is 8 1 upon 3%. So this is how we can find rate if interest is given, principal is given, time is given. Now the next question is, you have rupees 2400 in your account and the interest rate is 5%. After how many years you would earn rupees 240 as interest? So this time we have to find time. Principal is given 2400, rate of interest is given 5% and interest is also given, that is 240 rupees. So here we are having P is equal to 2400, I is equal to 240 and R is equal to 5. What we have to find? We have to find T, that is time period. Now as we know, interest is equal to PRT upon 100. So from here we can put the values and we can get the value of T. So it will be 240 is equal to P is 2400 into R, that is 5 into T divided by 100. Now we can simplify this, we can cancel these two zeros with these two zeros. Now 24 into 5, this will be 120. So what we can do, we can transpose this 120 here. So this will become 240 divided by 120 is equal to T. Now from here we can simplify this, we can cancel these two zeros. Now 12 ones are 12, 12 twos are 24. So therefore T or the time period is 2 years. So it means if we keep 2400 in the account and the rate of interest is 5%, then after 2 years interest earned will be rupees 240. Now here is the last question of this session. The question is, on a certain sum, the interest paid after 3 years is rupees 450 at rate of 5% per annum. We have to find the sum. So this time we have to find the principal. Time is given as 3 years, interest is given as rupees 450 and rate is given as 5%. So this time interest is given as rupees 450 and time period is given as 3 years and rate of interest is 5%. That is R is 5. Now what we have to find? We have to find the principal amount. Now again we will be using the formula for simple interest. We know interest or simple interest is equal to PRT upon 100. Now from here we can get P is equal to I into 100 divided by R into T. Now let's put the values of I, R and T here. So P will be equal to 450 into 100 divided by R, which is 5, into T, and that is 3, because time period is 3 years. Now let's simplify this. 5 into 3 will be 15 and 15 threes are 45. So this will be 30 here. Now 30 into 100, this gives us 3000. So therefore the principal amount is 3000. So it means, according to this question, if the sum of rupees 3000 is given for interest and the interest rate is 5% and the time period is 3 years, then the interest will be, or the amount of interest will be rupees 450. Or we can say that on rupees 3000, the interest paid after 3 years is rupees 450 at 5% rate of interest per annum. So in this session, we have learned about the charge given on the sum borrowed or the simple interest. We call it as simple interest or interest. And we have seen how to find interest and amount using the formula also. For finding interest, we have to use the formula PRT upon 100, where P is principal, R is rate, T is time. So here is the formula for interest. That is PRT upon 100. P is principal, R is rate, T is time. This will give us interest. And what will be the amount? Amount is equal to interest plus principal. That is, whenever we are paying back, we have to pay the amount which we borrowed, plus we have to give the charge also, which is interest. So it becomes P plus I. And we have seen few examples on all these things.